Call the season, end the season. Dodgers are unstoppable. No, that's not the overreaction you're going to get on today's Locked On Dodgers. But we are going to talk about the Dodgers' first spring game, which they scored 8 runs before the Padres got to bat, 14 runs total. We got some pitchers that we saw. We got some hitters that we saw. We got a couple updates from the other pitchers that didn't pitch on Thursday. We're going to get into all that, so let's get Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can join and get $150 in bonus bets when your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. And if you want to become an everydayer, all you have to do is listen or watch every day, which can be made easier by subscribing and getting notified when our episodes are ready for you. If this is your first time listening watching, I'm Vince Samperio, usually joined by my co-host Jeff Snyder, but he's out today, just me. Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans that have watched a lot of Dodger games in our life. We've covered the Dodgers in different ways over the last few years. We've done this podcast for almost 5 years now, and another podcast about the Dodgers a little bit longer than that. So we're not quite insiders, but we're just here to bring you smart and thoughtful and rational takes about the Dodgers, where we get to know the Dodgers a little bit better, and hopefully you get to know the Dodgers a little bit better. And we're here to have those smart and rational takes. The takes were mostly sarcastically flying on Thursday as the Dodgers played in their first Cactus League game against the Padres. Joe Musgrove started for the Padres, and his ERA when he left the game is infinity. So that's not a good sign for him. Dodgers offense put up 8 runs in the first inning, ended up adding on 6 runs throughout the rest of the game, and only allowed 1 run. Their pitching only allowed 1 run, a solo home run given up by Alex Vesia. We'll get into all that. But, yeah, I mean, obviously having baseball back was fun. The way the Dodgers did it was a lot more fun. And Padres manager Mike Schill got his workout in because he had to go to the mound and take his pitcher out a handful of times. So, all in all, it was good. The Dodgers put out a lineup, half and half of starters and guys that probably either won't play for the Dodgers this year or won't have a huge impact on the Dodgers. Mookie Betts was in there. Gavin Lex was in there, but not at shortstop, at DH. But he got a base hit. He got to experience a baseball game and be a baseball player, kind of what he noted after the game, and that was fun. Teoscar Hernandez had a clutch double for the Dodgers when they loaded the bases against Joe Musgrove. Mookie Betts walk, Chris Taylor, little single, barrels are overrated type single. James Outman drew a walk, and then Teoscar Hernandez came up and hit a hanger from Joe Musgrove. Thought it might be a home run off the bat, ended up being a 2-run double. We have that footage here for yours of you watching on YouTube, courtesy of Dodgers and Sportsnet LA. So a good-looking swing from Teoscar there. As I mentioned, the Dodgers will go on to add on more runs. We had a 2-run single from Andy Pages, a 2-run double from Chris Owings, and a 2-run home run from Kevin Padlo, who destroyed a baseball. The Padres used 3 pitchers in that first inning. And, yeah, that was fun to see, to get around. The Dodgers, like I said, Chris Owings, Kevin Padlo, not sure what kind of impact they would have on the Dodgers if they even play on the Dodgers this year. But, they got in on the action. And the guys that did matter, Mookie Betts, had 3 at-bats, got on base, 2 of them. hit the ball hard another time, but a nice play out there by Jackson Merrill. Chris Taylor had the base hit. Teoscar had the 2-run double. Pages had the 2-run single. We saw guys that matter have an impact on the game in the sense of hitting wise, except for Austin Barnes. Unfortunately, Austin Barnes did get a base hit, infield single, if I remember correctly, but did also strike out twice. I mentioned Gavin Lux got the hit, Andy Pages, and Cody Hosey, a guy that we've had on this show before, or at least on one of our podcasts before, who's kind of fallen off the last few years, but he also added a two RBI hit later on in the game. Trey Sweeney played some shortstop. The shortstop the Dodgers got from the Yankees trade. So there was a lot going on. Obviously, a lot of players played on both sides. Early in the game, we saw the pan over to the Padres dugout when they had a full dugout, if I've ever seen one. They're at home. They don't have to worry about guys traveling or not, so they could bring, everybody could be there, and they definitely had a full dugout going on over there. But, yeah, it was a good way to kick off Cactus League, a fun way, obviously, for us Dodger fans to kind of see, the first look at these Dodgers. They're not rocking the white jerseys or the gray jerseys, but they got the blue jerseys on, and, they look pretty good. You can barely notice the Guggenheim patch on these jerseys because, they are the same color. But all in all, it was fun, and it actually ended up being, for the first half inning, took almost an hour, about 45 minutes, a little bit over 45 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, for that to happen and the game to still end relatively quickly after that was pretty solid. If you watch the game on ESPN, I know Fernando Tatis Jr. was mic'd up for that top of the first. And, they kind of said, oh, man, we might not ever have to get mic'd up again. That was kind of funny seeing those clips there. Dave Roberts talked. He was clipped up. I believe they also had Outman and Teoscar Hernandez mic'd up, but I didn't see anything from those guys. I was watching on Sportsnet LA because, stay true to the Sportsnet guys. But, it was fun to see. Pitching wise, we'll talk about Gavin Stone. He'll get his own segment in the next segment, but other guys that we saw for the Dodgers that could be, legitimate Dodgers this year. We saw Michael Grove. He tossed a scoreless inning, did have a couple runners on base, but got out of it. Ricky Vanasco had a really nice quick inning, 11 pitches, got a strikeout on a breaking ball. So that was good to see. Considering, like I said, we haven't really seen him. We know the Dodgers, he's going to be on the 40-man roster. He's already on the 40-man roster, but not entirely sure what to expect out of him. He had, a good-looking inning. Alex Vesia did struggle, continuing kind of the struggles that he had last year. He gave up a home run. He gave up another hit. He also gave up a walk. Didn't strike anybody out. He did get through the inning, but, obviously he's going to have to step that up and be a little bit more effective. It's the first spring game. So, as I said, no overreactions, no underreactions. But realistically, Vesia will have to have better outings the rest of the way. That's just a given fact. The rest of the way, Eliezer Hernandez, who could maybe see some time with the Dodgers if there's injuries later on. He had a scoreless inning, a couple strikeouts. Then we had a few guys that, either won't see with the Dodgers this year or who knows when. Gonsalves, Gowdy, Salazar, and John Rooney finished off the game, all picking up at least one strikeout the rest of the way. So the Dodgers as a team had 12 strikeouts. Pitching-wise, 14 runs, 12 hits, and 9 walks. So they were on base a lot. They were being patient. And again, like I said, there's not too much to take from the huge inning that they had because, again, some of those guys might not be there. But, theoretically, you could say, well, if Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani and Will Smith and Jason Hayward and, that's it, that were in there, then they could have similar damage. Who knows? But, again, it's first game of spring. It was just fun to see considering how Padres and their fans have kind of fallen themselves after the last few years. It was, it's always good to see the Dodgers put up a bunch of runs on them. So Dodgers do have another game on Friday. This one will be at Camelback Ranch. So we're looking forward to that. Mentioned Gavin Stone. We're going to talk about him, how he looked, and, realistically, what's the prospect of him having a chance to be a contributor for the Dodgers early in the season. So that's what's coming up. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Backblaze. If you need unlimited cloud backup for your Mac, your PC, or your business for just $99 a year, Backblaze is here to help you out. They can easily protect business data through a centrally managed admin and protect all the data on your machines automatically. You can access that data from anywhere in the world using their web app or the iOS or Android apps. They've restored over 55 billion files for customers. So why not get in and protect yourself? Simple deployment across multiple workstations. They have multiple restore options in the event of data loss or ransomware. And there's a 1-year file retention and version history. So there's no reason for you not to try Backblaze, and especially even more when they have a no risk free trial. If you go to backblaze.com/lockedonmlb, you can plenty of time to upload and download some files. Now, seriously, you should back your stuff up. So go to backblaze.com/lockedonmlb and sign up for a free trial and see why Backblaze is recommended by Inc. Magazine. Again, that's backblaze.com/lockedonmlb. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. And if you're already on YouTube, you can go to Locked On Sports Today or Locked On Sports Los Angeles. Those are two 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network that are covering the news and stories from around the sports world and the LA sports world. There for you all day, all night. So go check those out on YouTube and subscribe. Oh, Gavin Stone started the game through the first inning for the Dodgers, and after a very long top of the first, which could get somebody out of whack, Gavin Stone went in and went 1-2-3 and looked really good doing it. He struck out Fernando Tatis Jr. with a nasty changeup, got a couple other swings and misses on that changeup, and ultimately, like I said, a very quick inning. We do actually also have footage of that changeup, also courtesy of the Dodgers and Sportsnet LA. So here that is. Yeah, really good looking there. And, Jeff obviously talked about the Dodgers or Gavin Stone and how his role could be for the Dodgers. And, kind of a surprise guy for him, makes sense. Jeff has liked Gavin Stone since the beginning. And, as we've kind of been throughout this offseason, it feels like everyone's kind of penciled in Emmett Sheehan as that guy to be the number 5 or number 6 starter, depending on, how the Dodgers were going to handle things going into the regular season. And we know that it's, Sheehan and Yarbrough and Stone are kind of fighting for that number 5 spot right now. Stone gets the opening salvo, look pretty good there. Obviously, we're not going to know much more about this until we get a couple of starts from each of those guys under their belts to kind of see, what they're working with. But it was interesting to note. We kind of heard the tipping that Gavin Stone may have been tipping last year, and that's why his call up to the majors wasn't very solid. He did end up adding the cutter in season, coming back later in the year and having a little bit more success than he did in the first part of the year. It was attributed to a blister he had on his foot that kind of was causing him discomfort when pushing off the mound. He said that kind of turned into tipping, and then that, tipping turned into guys getting hard contact off him, his changeup not really working because they knew when he was or wasn't throwing that changeup, and, they were able to set him the fastball. He didn't really have, another pitch to kind of help him out after that, or a pitch that he was comfortable with, which is why he went back and did have that cutter. So, yeah, for what we know, Sheehan, like I said, has kind of been that guy. But Gavin Stone was obviously a more heralded prospect just last year. At this point last year, not a lot of us knew who Emmett Sheehan was, or if we did know, We knew of his name, maybe not too much in depth. We did know who Gavin Stone was. We did expect Gavin Stone to have some type of impact on the Dodgers last year. And I think he can have that impact on the Dodgers. And I do think that us crowning Sheehan, or a lot of people crowning Sheehan over the offseason, was based on last year's success for him and lack of great success for Gavin Stone. But I do think that there's legitimate candidacy. I do think Stone has legitimate, he's a legitimate candidate to be that guy. Now, I am interested in the long run about Ryan Yarbrough and what the Dodgers are thinking for him. He's not a young guy. He's not somebody that can just, I don't believe he has any options left, just someone who can send to the minors. And a guy that they could say, you know what, we'll keep him up here. We'll have our young guys start off in the minors. Or Yarbrough could be that swing man, kind of what he did last year. Maybe piggyback back off one or two guys, or just come in and throw multiple innings once or twice a week, and that would fill his role. But I do think for the Dodgers, Stone was he was that prospect. He was that prospect for them last year. It was him and Pepio. Pepio ended up winning the job out of spring. And I do think Stone still has that in them now. We all can be prisoner of the moment, especially with him struggling. But I do think, he has the stuff to work his way back. He's had the fastball, at least velocity wise, to be able to play off that changeup and now that cutter and that other breaking ball, and being able to be a 2-pitch pitcher. You can still be a starter, but you may not be as successful as a starter as guys with more than 2 pitches. Obviously, Spencer Strider is one of those guys who's a 2-pitch pitcher that has had success. He does get a lot of strikeouts, but as we've seen, he doesn't always necessarily pitch that well. He does rack up the strikeouts, but he also struggles sometimes and gives up runs in bunches. With Stone, adding that third pitch, being able to command and control that, be comfortable with it, with the changeup that we saw in yesterday's game, that's a guy that can give you quality innings. That's a guy that can, for sure secure a number 5 starter spot and hold it down until, Walker Buehler's ready, or whoever else may join the rotation later on in the year. I don't expect Stone to be a starter from day one and last the entire season in the Dodgers rotation. A lot of things would have to happen that way, namely some injuries probably, or just a huge progression from last year. But I do think he's a guy that can hold down a rotation spot early in the season and, can give the Dodgers some valuable innings and, provide the Dodgers a lot of leeway for, to give Walker Buehler not to rush back, to, Clayton Kershaw not to rush back, Dustin May to maybe take on a bullpen role when he does come back later in the year, little things like that can, add up and really be a benefit. So I'm looking forward to seeing more out of Stone this spring. I'm looking forward to seeing Emmett Sheehan and what he's worked on and how he looks after, a pretty solid debut to his career last season. Ryan Yarbrough, I can't necessarily say I'm looking forward to him pitching. I know what he can do, and it's not as fun, as impressive as the guys throwing mid 90s, but he's still effective in his own way. And he, like I said, I think he can have a spot on this Dodgers roster, but not me. I think the number 5 spot's got to come down to Sheehan or Stone, and see which one of those guys kind of takes it and grabs it and takes it this spring. So. That was a lot to say about Gavin Stone, but that's what we had to look at yesterday. And again, like I said, he looked pretty good. It was just 1 inning, but it was an inning against major league hitters, and he went 1, 2, 3. So there are other pitchers to talk about, and a couple little notes about Mookie Betts, Gavin Lux as well. We're going to get into all that, so make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Go get a bucket right now with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. And if you're a fan of the NBA, or even if you're not, you can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. You can check the Parlay Hub, where people are building out parlays, and you can ride on their coattails. You can create your own parlays. You can do some quick bets, right before the game, during the game, live betting, whatever you want to do. It's all right there on the FanDuel app. So go to fanduel.com/lockedon to check out the app and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Today's episode is also brought to you by Logix. We give you a lot of in-depth analysis, sometimes some hot takes on this show, but right now we got a hot take for you, and that's that the best lineup in LA right now is the lineup of auto loans at Logix. They start off with the proven and dependable new and used vehicle loans. Those are the loans you can count on to give you low rates and save you big time bucks. Next up, they've got the exciting new rookie sensation in their electric vehicle loans with super low rates and flexible payment terms. And they round out their lineup with the auto refinancing loans and lease buyout loans. With those loans, you can lower your monthly payments and get on the road to owning your car faster. And it may be a little bit of a hot take, but no one can beat the lineup at Logix. So visit your local Logix branch right here in LA and surrounding areas and let one of their amazing team members help you, or just apply online in minutes at logixbanking.com/car. That's LOGIX banking.com/CAR. If you are not an everydayer, you can become one by listening or watching to Locked On Dodgers every single day, or as close to every day as you can. And if you want to go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider, all you got to do is go to joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers. You can text directly with Jeff and I, get news, updates, thoughts, reactions to things that happen from us. You can also request those from us and ask us directly about anything that Dodger related or any other questions you may have, especially with season coming up. That's joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers and become a Locked On Dodgers insider. All right. So we had a few things to look, spring notes beyond the game. Mookie Betts, we talked about him. He played second base. He talked to reporters after, and he had a funny little quip about where he's going to play this spring and what that's going to look like. So we'll play it here also, courtesy of the Dodgers and Sportsnet LA.
Muki, do you think at any point in time in the spring you might play a little bit of right field, or do you feel like it's all second base in spring?
I don't think I brought my right field cleats, so I'm only going to do the second base ones for right now. If they put me out there, whatever, but hopefully it's just second base.
Yeah, that last part is the joking part was fun, but the last part is kind of the most telling of hopefully just second base. So yeah, Mookie is all in on second base. He spoke during the game with Kirsten Watson and kind of talked about a few different things, but specifically second base, what he worked on this offseason that was different than years past. He said he worked more on his agility, getting those reads off the bat, playing the infield. He said he had lost some of that agility over the last few years, so he, working on getting that back. They showed the clip. If you haven't seen it already, you have to go back and find it on social media. But Kirsten Watson and Mookie kind of had a race. Mookie was doing his sprints. Kirsten joined in. She had a little bit of a head start. And I don't know where they were running to because they keep saying Kirsten won. So she might, wherever the line was, that's where she had passed before Mookie. But either way, apparently in 2 weeks they're doing a rematch, according to them talking on the Sportsnet broadcast. So we'll see if that happens. But yeah, Mookie, a little bit different. He talked, about that agility, a little bit different training than being in the outfield. And then Mookie did say one thing that was kind of interesting, especially for a guy like him who is, all about the team, all about winning, and doesn't necessarily talk about his personal accolades too much. Kirsten did ask him if he had any personal goals for this season, and he said to win a Gold Glove. He said it'd be pretty cool to win a Gold Glove in right field and at second base, and he thinks he can do it. And yeah, that's not surprising from Mookie to hear that he wants to be the best at his role. Being second baseman, wants to win a Gold Glove. He said beyond that, I don't really care about anything else as long as we win, even if I don't play well, as long as we're winning. So that was the answer that we were kind of expecting, but hearing that he is interested in winning a Gold Glove is cool. And knowing Mookie Betts, I'm not going to doubt on that he can do that. So props to him. Other note that we got from spring camp, Tyler Glasnow is expected to pitch on Saturday for the Dodgers in Cactus League. So exciting to looking forward to that. Exciting to see him on the mound for the Dodgers. He's been said to be hitting 97 in his bullpens. If he gets amped up, a little bit extra juice and adrenaline, I can see the 99 popping up on there when we see him pitch on Saturday. But there's a lot to be excited about this offseason and you guys to see, and guys that we've already seen before, but seeing them again. Tyler Glasnow is probably near the top of the list for me of guys I want to see. And we'll get a look at him. One of the guys that we're not going to get a look at this weekend, but should get a look at in Cactus League next week, is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He threw another bullpen to hitters on Thursday and once again did pretty well, limited hard contact. He pitched against Hayward, Miguel Vargas, a couple other guys. He did get Hayward to swing and miss a few times. And, he talked about kind of what he felt after that. And he said he's been feeling good. Quote, "I'm just pretending this is a real game. Probably the next step will be a real game that I throw." Dave Roberts said that should be the case for him. He said, quote, "I'm looking forward to pitching in the Cactus League, but I'm taking this seriously and getting myself ready for the regular season." So, we don't know the exact plan for Yamamoto in terms of, what they're thinking, but obviously now we know that he's going to pitch in the Cactus League game, and Dave Roberts all but announced that Yamamoto and Glasnow would be the two starters in Korea. He didn't officially announce it, but, kind of said that makes sense of the guys that we would throw out there. Yamamoto said that it would be a great honor to pitch in that game and to do, and his answers are all very team friendly and very humble. And he said, quote, "It would be such an honor and I will do my best to contribute to winning the game." So, it's one of those things where it's exciting to see the videos of Yamamoto and, hear from Freddie Freeman, hear from his other teammates about what he looks like. But it is going to be exciting to see him on the mound, even if it's just a 1 or 2 inning stint for the Dodgers next week, to kind of see what he does look like and kind of build toward that either opening night in Korea start or the second night, whatever it ends up being. But for the Dodgers and Yamamoto specifically, it's a different time for him, and he's figuring it out. The Dodgers are working with him, and he seems like he is going to be prepared. That's one of those things where, regardless of how different it is in Japan and here in Arizona with the Dodgers, in spring training, and regardless of anything else, Yamamoto seems like a guy that's about his business, that's going to get ready. We see him with the javelin workouts. We see him working out. We see, we hear all the, "I will do my best. I feel good. I'm treating everything like it's a real game. I'm, not taking any days off, all any other cliches." And, realistically, it's not just a cliche. It is legitimate for him. I do believe that he is working tirelessly. He talked about the work ethic in Japan being different from here in the sense of, it's a little bit more rigid and structured over there. And over here, you kind of get to work on your own. So I'm sure he's excited about, experiencing that and kind of getting ready on his own. And the Dodgers, hopefully, I would imagine they're letting him know every step of the way what the plan is. So that's all there is on Yamamoto. Beyond that, like I said, it was a fun first game for the Dodgers for us to watch, for us to see. They do have another one on Friday, and they do play again on Saturday, and the rest of the teams are going to join in the fun and start playing their games. So baseball is back. It's not, full-on baseball after that 5th inning in the Dodger game. There was a lot of names that you either had only heard of, never seen play, or maybe not even heard of. That's how a lot of these games are going to be early on. The Dodgers will have to ramp up a little bit faster than some of these other teams, just for the simple fact that they have games that count in less than a month. So, but regardless, it was a nice, fun Thursday. The Dodgers were the only game on. Friday, there'll be more games, and we're looking forward to seeing that. We'll be back on Monday to talk about what happened over the weekend, what we saw from Glasnow, what we saw from Landon Knack, who's starting the game on Friday, and what we saw from the rest of the guys. And I'm sure we'll get a Freddie Freeman sighting. I don't know if we'll get a Ohtani sighting in a Cactus League game this weekend, but at the very least, he should be getting into some games next week. So we all are sitting on pins and needles waiting for that to happen. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank y'all for listening. Thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to check us out wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to make us your first listen every morning. Make sure to become an everydayer by listening or watching every day. We're here for you every Monday through Friday for about 30 minutes, even less if you put your podcast or YouTube speed up a little bit and listen to us a little bit quicker. You can find us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Dodgers and TikTok. You can also find Jeff on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM us for any questions, comments, or concerns. Remember, the Locked On Podcast Network has two 24/7 streaming channels that could benefit you. Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles. They are covering the news and stories from around the sports world and the LA sports world from Locked On hosts, experts, and more. So go check that out and subscribe. Remember, you can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You can text directly with us and ask any questions, get our updates from the spring, and anything else that we might be thinking of, we'll share with you. So go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers if you want to join. And you can always send us an email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or you can leave us a voicemail or send us a text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us when you get in your car or if you're at home. Play your smart device by podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.